I got to tell you, I feel like we're going to do this one example, and then we're going to stop here, and we're not going to keep going with the sample mean. It's the same concept, but I want to be able to talk to people tomorrow and then talk to different people on Monday about how this is going, because it's so wordy and it's so weird. I want you guys to be able to ask questions about this. So I'm just going to do this one example and then stop and give you like just a couple of little homework problems today. Okay, on page 206, do people approve of the president's job performance? Okay, well, this book's starting to get a little old. That's not the president anymore. Do people approve of the president's job performance in March of 2014? That's a real thing, the Gallup poll. Surveyed 1,500 people. That's a lot of people. Overall, 42% of the people in the sample approved of the way Obama was handling his job as president. The dot plot shows the proportion who approved of the president's job performance in each of 300 different simulated random samples, all of them size 1,500. It's like 300 different times somebody went and asked 1,500 people, right? That's what those two mean, except they simulated it. They didn't actually go ask them. There's so many dots, they don't even look like dots. Use the results to approximate the margin of error. Okay, so look, here's the simulation, but then here's the mean, and here's the standard deviation. That's the number I need right there. Okay, we already knew 42% was what we got. I need that standard deviation. And what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply it by 2. There it is. Multiply it by 2, and I get 0.026. And so when I'm supposed to interpret it, that's your homework tonight, by the way. Find the margin of error and interpret it. That's all. You don't have to do simulations. You don't have to find the mean. You don't have to find the standard deviation. Multiply by 2. Interpret it. We expect the true proportion of all U.S. adults who approved of President Obama's job performance to be at most 0.026 away from the estimate of 0.42. We expect the actual truth to be less, at most, 0.026 away from the estimate of 0.42. So please notice this. When the sample size is larger, the margin of error is smaller. That's kind of like we saw in our dots. When we took a bigger sample size with rectangles, we saw that they were closer together, right? So I'm going to go back to my girl Carolina here. She took a sample size of 50, and what did we find for a margin of error for Carolina on the other page? We found it to be 0.134. And we said something like, we expect that the true population proportion is at most 0.134% away from our sample proportion. But now the Obama thing, the sample size wasn't 50. The Gallup poll went out and asked 1,500 people. And so what kind of margin of error did we get? One that's much smaller. It was 0.026. Look, that's 13%. There's a difference on the number line. That's only 2.5%. That's a big deal. Okay, so we're to stop here because this example leads into talking about sample means instead of proportions. I'm going to give you a couple of homework problems. Multiply your standard deviation by 2 and do your best to rewrite the interpretation, and that'll be good enough for me for today so that we can actually talk about what that means tomorrow if you have questions. All right, have a good day, everybody.